Subscribe and ring the bell to never miss an update. Hello everyone! Today on Lady Mary Bath, we are shopping an estate sale with treasures dating back to the 17th century to modern day. The event is held off-site since many of these items have come from a St. Augustine, Florida estate with ties to Houston, Texas. We're going to find some amazing deals. Join me. This estate sale company hosts a monthly sale at their location located on Renwick in Bel Air. Welcome to Town & Country Estate Sales. You will find them in the Houston Resale Guide and Map. They are the oldest estate sale company in Houston, and it is held here in this location since many of these items have come from a landmark home in St. Augustine, Florida. We will find some amazing antiques, even Nippon Chinoiserie, and works from famous artists. Let's have a look. Herbert Norris was a British costume designer, architect, actor, and very well known for his books on costume design. And this is a wonderful example of one of his prints, 1,450. And in this case, we find lots of treasures covering many different areas and types of collections, including cut to clear, Lomonosov, Russian Imperial China. This is quite an extensive set, highly collectible. I sometimes find pieces at still good consignment. It's a wonderful way to add to your teacup collection. And of course, the blue and gold is quite regal. Delicate teacups. And we'll have to turn it over and look at the back stamp. Made in the USSR. These have many different patterns within the brand, but I find that this cobalt and gold is the most popular. Platinum rim and, of course, gold. This is a stellar pattern that was an immediate hit when it was launched by my favorite Waterford crystal. $80 is a very fair price for the set. Lots of great collections here, including the Russian porcelain that is highly collectible, and Waterford Crystals Marquis by Waterford Hanover Gold. This is a pattern that launched in 1994 when I was with Waterford Crystal. It was originally made in Germany and a top choice of brides. Some great sterling silver pieces, including a very popular pattern we will see on the back stamp, Francis I, made by Reed and Barton. This Renaissance-inspired pattern was designed in 1907 by French silversmith Ernest Meyer. Features ornate handles decorated with fruit, blossoms, leaves, and scroll work. A much-loved pattern and a top bridal selection in the United States. And these are solid pieces. And some interesting collectibles, including a real commemorative and a special box that has a bit of a masculine look. This would be a great men's gift as well, and I think would be wonderful in any area of your home. A posh back stamp on this tortoise and sterling silver box. It is from Asprey of London. They are located on Bond Street and a favorite of the monarchs and the nobility. Queen Elizabeth shopped with them and King Charles as well. They are known for jewelry and they do have some great gifts. This is priced at $750 and this would sell in the secondary market for about $1,600. Take a seat. We have an interesting piece of furniture that is older than our country. It belongs in a museum, and this would be quite the addition for the collector. And everything about it has some meaning with the carvings. We'll take a look at all the details. And remember that tower with the axes. that is also quite meaningful with a story. And I just wonder where this originated. And it's quite inviting. It says rest and welcome. This is known as a hall seat or a monk's bench or even a settle, and it dates to 1666. If we look at the hand carving here, I will show you all the details. This was carved in England, and you'll notice the spelling is a bit different, somewhat phonetical. Blessed be the gifts of the Lord. This is typical of Old English. It was definitely a phonetic spelling. There was lack of standardization with the alphabet, and certainly evolved over time. The furniture maker has left his mark on this piece. Not only has he integrated his name, Nathan Tower Axe, but also the date, August 15th, 1666. And here in this design, we see a tower with an axe on either side to carry out the theme and meaning of his name, Tower Axe. Priced at $2,500, this would sell for at least $4,000 with an antiques dealer. In year 1666, there were two major events in England, the Great Plague and the Great Fire of London, definitely defining events in English history. While bench is a broad term for a piece of furniture like this, it was often referred to as a settle because of the high back and arms, and this was to block the draft. Remember, some of these were castles and huge homes without any kind of heating other than the fireplace, and referred to as a monk's bench because you could lift that seat and store vestments. Great storage inside. I think it's a fair price at $2,500. It, of course, will go down in price the second or third day of the sale if it is still available. More wonderful treasures here, including the Waterford Crystal Millennium Collection. The pair of love flutes retailed for $125 back in year 2000, and at $80, that's a good deal. A sterling sugar shaker or muffinier is $385 from Harrods. Let's take a look at that back stamp. Of course, that's the famous London department store. Would be a wonderful addition to a collection. And here is a presentation bowl from a famous person. The family was also friends with a well-known American comedian, Phyllis Diller. And here we see an engraved bowl that she has presented to them. You never know what piece of history you will find at an estate sale. This is an interesting find, a Renwick etching known as a restrike because it was made during the artist's lifetime, priced at $2,800. And lots of art. You could have instant ancestors and a harp with beautiful engraving. This is a work of art from the Schwizo Company from London. Such beauty here. This family obviously collected not only art, but musical instruments. And this seat for $850 would be an interesting addition to your entryway to welcome guests. And the lacquered secretary would be a wonderful addition to any space, has a hint of chinoiserie. There's an interesting history I've shared about secretaries and a visit to the Bluebird Circle resale in Houston. Priced at $950 on the first day of the sale. This would definitely fit a laptop nicely. You could organize your work from home station, or you could certainly showcase a collection. More beautiful artwork and some amazing collectibles. We'll take a look at this area and talk more about the history. There's so much to see here. Their estate sales are always interesting. And this seems to be heavy on the English antiques. Reminds me of the Winchester Antique Mall in Franklin, Tennessee. Let's take a look at these boxes. Well priced at $195 on the initial day of the estate sale. Something you could keep under lock and key, which is certainly something that they did years ago with their sterling silver. We'll take a closer look. An English knife box was a staple in many homes from the 18th century to the early 20th century. It was made of high-quality wood and designed to store and protect cutlery. This box would be a wonderful addition to many areas of your home. I have a similar piece that is reproduction that I paid $30 for at MAM Resale in Houston, and it is featured on my breakfast server and great for storage. And look down when you're out at an estate sale, you never know what you'll find, including a pair of carved wooden opium headrests, as they are known. Quite some interesting finds here today. And some wonderful art with a hint of Texas, the Grand Canyon, with these vibrant colors. This was painted in 1992 by artist Bruce Aiken, priced at $1,500. And this certainly reminds me of growing up in Texas with the turkeys. Robert Quill Johnson, $3,500. And this sideboard would be an interesting addition to any space in your home, including an entryway. Priced at $950. Reminds me of some things that we find in Germany at the Trödelcenter or the flea market. And a nod to royalty with this print of King Edward and Queen Alexandra. And this takes my breath away. An incredible Gabrini. I'll tell you more about the history. An original watercolor from Italian artist Pietro Gabrini. It's dated 1877 in Rome. He was known for his still lifes, portraits, and landscapes. It's priced at $12.50. Such vibrant colors. Pietro was born in Rome and studied at the Accademia di Belle Arti in Rome, where he was a pupil of painter Domenico Morelli. These boxes are interesting and remind me of a visit to the Winchester Antique Mall in Franklin, Tennessee, and to the Carmine Dance Hall Antique Show. And the prices are exceptional. Let's take a look. These English tea caddies are well priced, and this one even has an engraved monogram. It's priced at $125. I see these for $400 to $500 and up at some of my favorite antique stores and also Portobello Road Market in London. It got its name from the Malaysian word caddy, which referred to 1¼ pounds of tea. And the British took this word to name their storage for tea, to keep it under lock and key, and also preserve the flavor. You could certainly use these in many different ways in your space, and I think the prices are exceptional. Classic blue and white is plentiful. There are some wonderful collections here, and this has to be my favorite. And the prices are very fair, $20 a plate on the first day of the sale. Let's take a look. A wall of dreamy chinoiserie. Of course, chinoiserie is the Western interpretation of Eastern art, and this is a great example, the blue canton pattern from Mataheda, a company that takes patterns from the archives and reproduces. And this is based on an 18th century Chinese blue and white porcelain export. And there's that beautiful back stamp. Let's take a look at this collection. And of course, you want to look at the back stamp, which is a roadmap to the history of a piece that tells you more about the value. This tureen is a bit more at $700 because it has the antique value. The cups and saucers are well priced at $24. I think this would be an instant collection and a great way to create interest for your space. $85 for that platter. Many of these are chinoiserie. Some do have a Japanese influence from Japan. And one piece has an interesting mark on it. We'll have to turn it over. Priced at $400, and there's a reason that it has such a high value. This platter is a great example of China restoration. It may appear perfect and usable, you could certainly display it, but it actually has another story to it if we look at the reverse side, and it's all about stapling or riveting. A staple or rivet repair was a common way to mend porcelain pieces in the 18th and 19th centuries. This is a great example of it, and I think that that adds such interest to this piece. And households then could not afford to just toss a broken piece of china or porcelain, and this is a way that they could use it for years to come. You find many different porcelain pieces when you're shopping an estate sale, and this gives you an idea of how the different patterns can work beautifully together. The Spode Christmas tree is the #1 selling holiday pattern. Pairs nicely with this German plate from Zelb, Bavaria, the Franconia mark, in forest green. And of course, a nod to England with the Royal Doulton. All of these work wonderfully together. This is the Forsyth pattern. Could certainly create interest to your holiday table. I see some more transferware and a teapot that would work very well for all seasons, and a familiar box. This green box has my attention. Welcome to the world of luxury silver. Christophe was started in 1830 by a Parisian goldsmith named Charles Christophe. And this is a 5-piece place setting in the Rubens pattern that is Louis XVI inspired in its design, priced at $40. This retails for $660 for the silver plate setting. This probably would have been purchased by a reseller. It's certainly a great way you could flip that on the secondary market and make some extra money. I'm amazed at the pricing of the silver plate from Christophe. It is much more than even a sterling pattern from an American manufacturer. I invite you to take a look at our anniversary segment where you can see us set the table with the Christophe in the pearl sterling, back when it was much more affordable. Now let's take a look at a Japanese soft paste porcelain that has an interesting history, and the back stamp, of course, is important, hand-painted Nippon. We'll talk about the meaning of that and the technique in which it is made. This is well priced at $10 for the creamer, and it's something that you find frequently at resale and antique stores. Nippon pieces were made by Japanese artists who were trained to imitate Limoges and R.S. Prussia, and they do feature a lot of texture, including the moriagi design, and that is a special technique using clay on clay. And I'll tell you more about the back stamp and how we can date this piece. This plate has hints of lavender and purple, would be ideal for serving cookies or pastries. The McKinley Tariff Act of October 1890 required that all import pieces be labeled with their country of origin in English. And as we see on this piece, hand-painted Nippon. Nippon is Japan in Japanese. By 1921, the U.S. Customs Department ruled that that was no longer acceptable. And that's how we can date these pieces. A wonderful era in glassmaking. The American Brilliant is famous and made quite an impact on the tabletop industry. The American Brilliant period is roughly 1826 to 1920, and it showcases America's talents that were actually influenced by a German immigrant who was the first to cut glass in America. His name was William Henry Stiegel, and he immigrated to Mannheim, Pennsylvania. I share a lot of history in a visit to High Street Antiques in the Dallas area, and it certainly is a wonderful addition to any table and is great for gifting. You can place some of your favorite chocolates and wrap it in cello with a French ribbon. American glass manufacturers began to gain recognition in the 1870s and 1880s after winning awards at the Paris Expo. Libbey Glass had a pavilion at the Chicago World's Fair in 1893, which helped to make people aware of American glass. And not very many pieces from this era are marked. Occasionally you may find that, and it increases the value. This is $40. Great to thrift the gift. At $24, an exceptional deal, and you can share a bit of history with your gift recipient. American Brilliant was considered crystal because it had a 50% lead content. and it was once a symbol of wealth and status if you had a crystal pitcher in your dining room. It did lose favor approaching World War I because it was harder to find lead for these glass blanks, and pressed glass gained favor. It was no longer a status symbol to have American Brilliant. A stunning punch set, complete with a pedestal, cups, and ladle. This could be a great centerpiece, and of course, party perfect. You could certainly add some interest to your table with glassware that reminds of the American Brilliant era. Beautiful design. You'll notice the detail on the stem as well, and that is a complete set. From Heisey, the well-known orchid pattern in this mayonnaise set is priced at $40. So many uses for this. And from Waterford Crystal, a sugar shaker with a silver-plated top. This is one of their original pieces from the 1960s or 70s. And this centerpiece bowl is affordable, and you can fill it with Christmas ornaments or apples, and you've got a great look or a great gift. Some heavy metals here, and brass is back. Lots of candle holders, and this is certainly something very popular you will find in magazines, and it's plentiful in antique stores. A vast collection of brass candle holders. These range in price from $12 to $50 for the pair, highly collectible and perfect for fall and Christmas with those warm metal tones. These originated in the Middle Ages, and some are highly collectible, and there are many ways that you can look for these on the secondary market, especially at car boot sales in England. Imagine a table set with these down the center. That certainly would make quite the impact, especially for fall or winter with those warm metal tones. Lots of interesting finds here, including those lanterns that are folding actually, and some fancy cookware that also has an interesting history. And this is an interesting opportunity at the estate sale because we get to see copper cookware from 2 different countries, and for the first time bringing them together to share with you the differences. This one is from Bridson on Bold Street. Love the history that is attached to these pieces. In 1700s France, culinary tools were in demand. French craftsmen answered the call with high-quality copper cookware. I've shared the history in previous visits to the Brenham Antique Center and the Round Top Antiques and Design Center. And here we have a great example of English copper cookware. There is a distinct difference between English and French copper cookware. Copper pots from the UK can be recognized by the sharp triangular shape of the pot handle attachment, while the French have a rounded triangle. Quilts are an important part of American history, and this feathered star is priced at $200 from the 19th century. They were popular in the colonial period as well. Here we have some patriotic colors, and in some cases, they can actually showcase a bit of history. We'll take a look at some of those. This is a beautiful tulip design. Wouldn't that be a great addition to your guest room? Just love these vibrant colors. And now we will take a look at some that have names and dates. This one is from 1839 and perhaps would have been made by someone for their hope chest. Quite interesting. These are German immigrants, you can tell by the last names. Mary Scheib and John Kaufmann. This is known as a summer-winter woven coverlet, and they are dated with that integrated into the weave, dating back to 1832 to 1890 here in this collection. It's very personal. Usually these you find on the East Coast, priced at about $1,000. This is definitely better pricing, and you could certainly resell these in Round Top. The date is woven into this coverlet, 1894. And it is well priced at $175. And this one is $475 from 1850. definitely part of American history. And some artwork that just might make it to a museum that has a personal connection to the owner of many of these items. And here's a glimpse at the artist and the museum that might just have some new additions. And self-portraits are not as common for artists, and that makes it even more special. And some Ida Kohlmeyer modern art. And for the collector, this would definitely be a find. Some original works of art from famous artists, including David Addix, a Texas artist who created the Sam Houston statue. If you've ever driven between Houston and Dallas on I-45, you will have seen it. And a self-portrait or two from a famous artist who was friends with the owner of most of these items here in the estate sale. You never know what you will find with their monthly in-house estate sales, and certainly on location as well. I encourage you to follow Town & Country Estate Sales so that you can find some of the latest items and introductions, some of which have not been available to the public in a generation or more. And some famous artists. The owners lived in what is known as the Pink Castle in St. Augustine, Florida, and the lady of the house was best friends with Joanne Crisp Ellert, a well-known artist. She willed her two self-portraits to her, and these will most likely be returned to the museum that she founded. So glad you joined me today for the Town & Country Estate Sale. We found some great items that would delight collectors and resellers. They will be lining up. My favorite find is the Asprey of London tortoise and sterling box. Thanks again for joining Lady Mary Beth. Elevate your everyday with estate sales.